Hi, this is Tyrene Martinson, and this is my weekly update for my writing and for my video series. So, last week I had a tough time getting all 5 days in for my video series, and this week I don't have as much of a theme. I was really thinking about it this morning, and I was kind of like, what am I going to talk about this week? What's my theme for the week? Last week I had a theme, and then I went away from it, and then I kind of came back to it. So, this week I'm going to try to stick to a theme at least Tuesday through Friday. So today I'm just giving my update. So I'm telling you what I'm doing this week. My theme is writing conferences because I just signed up for Author Nation, and I'm excited about going to Author Nation. It's in Vegas in November. It's the new entity that is it's kind of taking the place of 20 Books Vegas, and 20 Books to 50K is this awesome Facebook group where you can find a ton of help if you're an indie author. So I recommend going to check it out. I somehow for the last 10 years didn't really know about it, and then I found out about it last year. And then I found it, I thought, wait, did I hear about this before and I just didn't join it? How did that happen? Anyway, awesome group. Highly recommend joining it, especially if you're an independent author and you are trying to write and see your writing as a business. Check out 20 Books 50 to 50K. And anyway, so they have this great Facebook group. They've put on great conferences. I managed to get to go to the last one in Vegas in 2023, and that was really helpful to me as an author to network with other authors, to meet other people, to be inspired by authors who are independent authors who are making not just 50K, but like making 6 figures or 7 figures from their independent writing business. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. And it was just a ton of information to take in. But I really enjoyed myself. I got to see and meet some really famous authors from around the world, and that was amazing. I recommend, again, if you're an independent author, checking out Joanna Penn's podcast, the Creative Penn podcast. She's brilliant and funny, and she knows all this business stuff. And there's other podcasts to listen to, and I'll be recommending more of them as I go along. But that's one that I've kind of tuned into lately. And anyway, that ties into Author Nation 2024 in Vegas because she'll be there, and I'm excited to see her speak again. I'm excited to see a lot of the people that I think are going to be there again, speaking about how to do our best with our writing business. And I'm excited to learn more, and I'm trying to learn more this year as I'm going along. I'm not going to give out specific goals because I have to admit I keep reworking them because I'm really bad at creating like wild 25 item to-do lists that I can't possibly achieve in a single day. And so you can imagine what my yearly goal lists sometimes look like as a writer. Sometimes they're just way out there, and I have to go, okay, wait a minute. I heard a 7-figure author talk about how she was going to take 3 to 6 months to learn a new skill and add a new part of her writing business. And I thought, why do I expect myself, who's definitely not at that point in my writing career, to be able to make these super fast changes to my writing business? Why do I expect that of myself? Why do I expect this crazy level of perfectionism to happen just immediately and overnight? It's not going to happen. I am on a long learning curve, and it might take me 3 to 6 months to just get my first 3 books onto audiobook because my backlist doesn't have audiobook for the most part, and I really need to work on that. So you can find, by the way, Liftoff, whoa, where is it, in audiobook, but you can't find any of my other books in audiobook, and I really want to remedy that. That's something that was talked about at Author Nation, and then I've seen talked about other places about utilizing everything I've written in all the ways it can be utilized, right? So not only a paperback, but an ebook and an audiobook, and maybe even a beautiful hardcover edition with sprayed edges or artistic elements. And being able to give readers all of those experiences, being able to, I guess, kind of offer up those types of different book experiences to readers. Because I know as a reader, when I love writers, I want to have all those different editions. Like, for example, The Hobbit that I mentioned last week, it's one of my favorite books. It's been one of my favorite books since I was in third grade. I have two paperbacks, a hardback, an audiobook version, and I wouldn't mind having like a beautiful artistic edition of it. So you can so that's my favorite book of all time, so I'm not going to have every book like that. But there are other books that I do enjoy a great deal that I wouldn't mind having multiple copies of. So I want to be able to offer that up to readers who might enjoy my books. And it's amazing to me as a writer that there are readers who have reached out to me who do enjoy my books like so much that they get excited about them, and I'm really thankful for that. So thank you, readers, and thank you, fellow authors who help with all of this stuff, with helping me learn about all these things. So that's one of the things that's why I'm going to talk about Author Nation, about going to writers conferences this week, is that I think it's really great to go out there and meet other authors and find out what they're doing to improve their writing and improve their writing business, and really discover how maybe I can do that too. So that's why I do that. That's why I think it's really helpful to go to conferences. So again, that's my big topic this week. I've already talking about it. And my other goals this week are to write actually 7 more episodes for a New Testament serialization that I'm doing on Kindvella, and it's just an authentic, honest reflection on New Testament chapters that I'm reading as I'm doing my Bible study this year. So it's a little more casual maybe than a regular Bible study type read, and I'm calling it a journal study because it's kind of my journal, and then I have questions in there that I ask for readers if they want to interact or think about those things on their own time. So that's my very Christian faith forward project that I'm doing. And then I have a Kindvella serialization that's a fantasy serialization that I've kind of let sit on pause for about a month, and I want to get back to that. So I'll be working on that this week. That's Darkblade Tempered. That's the second book in the Darkblade trilogy, which is related to my Champion trilogy. So it's, if you've read that, there's this secondary character in the Champion trilogy. His name's Dantor, and he is the main character in the Darkblade trilogy. So anyway, so it's kind of his backstory about how he got the Darkblade, the events that happened around that, because it turns out it's like this amazing ancient artifact that a lot of people want to get their hands on. So there's a little bit of intrigue, there's some danger, there's definitely some sword fighting, and there are griffins and other magical creatures in there. So anyway, I'm getting back to working on that this week, and that's kind of my secondary focus. It's my fiction focus. While there are faith elements in that book, it is a more of a world-building faith type book. So I'm going to have a very faith-forward project I'm working on, and then I have a subtle project that I'm working on that's more about the action, adventure, and fantasy side of things. So those are my 2 projects I'm working on this week. Last week, I created episodes. I went to an open mic. I kind of put myself out there in a lot of ways. I started working on an audiobook version for Champion in the Darkness. That's my first book. And I started doing that with AI. And I hope that I'm not offending anyone right now, but I'm at a point in my author career where I'm making more money than I used to, like a year ago, But I know that, like, financially, it's just not very wise of me to attempt to pay a professional narrator for their time, because I really can't afford it. And I know a lot of people will say, "Oh no, there's all these, ACX has these, author narrator deals, and you can find a narrator really inexpensively." But the thing is, it's still expensive, and my audiobook for Liftoff still is not really paid for itself. So uh, I really can't afford real life audio narration. So I had to be creative, and I've heard a lot about AI narration, so I'm trying that out, and with Champion of the Darkness, and I hope it goes well. If for some reason, like, again, my author business takes off and I get to a certain level, like a very certain level that I'm looking for, then I will start paying for actor narration for audiobooks, or I will buy the sound equipment to narrate the books myself. But at this point, because of where my financial level is at as a writing businesswoman, trying to make wise decisions about how I do my writing business, I am going to be using some AI tools to do AI narration, and probably some AI artwork for my advertisements and my social media type things. Maybe for some book cover elements, but I haven't really decided on that yet. So I've made most of my book covers myself, other than Liftoff and Nexus. These were professional artwork that was done by Carrie Butler. She's an amazing artist and interior formatter. I really like working with her. But all of my other books, that's all just me. I did the artwork for most of my books. One of my nieces did early artwork for a couple of my books. I'm really thankful. Thank you, Stephanie. But I decided to take some of that on in my hands with Canva and with images from Shutterstock and places like that. So anyway, this is like a kind of a wild, rambly author update. I am definitely in the works of trying to figure out how to do my author business, do it wisely, be smart and realistic about my goals and what I can accomplish in a day and a week and a month, or in 6 months or a year, quarterly. So I am trying to check in with myself and really look at things. I have so many projects I want to finish, so many ideas I want to write. Like, I feel like there are 50 book ideas that I have, and some amount of work done on them. And I know it's going to take me a while to write them. So, along those lines, another thing I'm going to be doing this week is I'm going to be really looking at and experimenting with what am I trying to say? Talk to text, dictation software. Dragon used to be called Dragon Naturally Speaking, used to be one of the best out there. And the reason I know that is because one of my sister-in-laws, her first husband, had MS, and Dragon Naturally Speaking helped him be able to use his computer when he couldn't use his hands anymore. And it was a really great program. So I know I've worked with it a little bit before, but it's been a while. I played with it and I struggled with it. And I think what I need to do is give myself a realistic, this is the tough part, realistic schedule of learning how to use Dragon Dictation, or a dictation program, to write my books, because I know it's a lot faster to talk to text than it is to type. Plus, I do have it's kind of a health thing. I have fibromyalgia and some other health issues, and sometimes my hands really, really hurt. Like, it's hard for me to pick things up, kind of hurt. So I experienced that yesterday. It was very frustrating. Um, I was hurting in the morning, which is usually, like, in the morning I'm usually a little bit better if I stretch out and I do some deep breathing. I do some things to kind of help. but I was already hurting by the end of the worship service at my church, and I couldn't like manipulate. So I help break down the stage after our mobile church is done with worship, and I couldn't use my hands properly for some of the stuff, and it was really frustrating. So knowing that and having that experience, I've had that experience before, but it just was really kind of I it was definitely there. It was a strong experience yesterday of frustration of not being able to use my hands and having them hurt really bad, and thinking, okay, I want to keep writing, I want to keep storytelling, and like today, I feel my hands are fine. I feel fine, but if this becomes more and more of a thing, I need to have something in place so I can keep writing. So I really need to learn how to use a dictation software and use it well if I want to keep getting my stories out into the world. So again, I've got 50 ideas already like lined up in a folder. So I am not going to give up on them yet. And again, that means that I really need to learn how to use a dictation software. So I'm going to be working on that. That's one of my goals this week, but it's also one of my goals to kind of plan out my learning curve and think of it as like, okay, this is something I want to be good at in a year. Not today, not next week, not in a month, but like in a year. How can I get good at using this dictation software in a year? How can I get good audiobooks out there in a year? How can I kind of have to try to get myself to slow down. I mean, I got really excited on Friday. I was working on an audiobook and I'm like, I'm going to get this done in a day. Oh, no, 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 no. It's not going to happen in a day. There's a lot of things I want to do overnight that are just not going to happen that quickly. That's not realistic. And so, anyway, this is my author update saying that this week I'm going to be real in these videos, but I'm also going to be trying to be realistic in my goals. And so that's where I'm at right now. And I hope that whatever you're working on, it's going well for you. But I also hope you're being realistic and being gracious to yourself and knowing that, hey, if I can hear a 7-figure independent author sit on a stage and say it's going to take her 6 months to learn something and change something about her author business, you know what? The rest of us who aren't to that level yet, it makes sense that it might take us 6 months to a year or even 2 years to do some type of writing pivot. It just makes sense. So let's be real this week, okay? And also, yeah, have fun writing. Enjoy, give ourselves some grace, and just keep going. So thanks for hanging out. This is Tyreen Martinson. This is my video series, The Truth About Storytelling. And I will see you around tomorrow because I am trying to be realistic, but also create a video each day, Monday through Friday for 100 days. And then I'll see where I'm at from there. So again, thanks. See you tomorrow.